Okay, so now I'm going to do one on the circle. So in chapter 3, what we're doing is we're doing what's called conic sections. Conic sections are basically, I'm going to scream just a second. Conic sections are basically, if you could take, I'm just trying to clean my screen a little bit. If you could take a cone and okay, I'm back to the eraser. This is not going well. If I could take a cone and slice it directly across, I would have a circle. If I cut it at some kind of an angle, I get different shapes. There are 4 different shapes that we talk about with conic sections. We talk about the circle, the ellipse, the hyperbola, and the parabola. So each shape is a different section in your textbook. We're going to do 2 shapes and then a test, and then the next 2 shapes and then a test, because it's a lot of information. So I want to break that down. So we start with the circle. We've done a little bit of this in grade 11. You've done it, but we're going to take it, of course, just a little bit further. So for each shape, there's going to be a formula that is standard form, and there's going to be a formula that is general form. I've got to figure out what that is. So standard form for a circle looks like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. H and k are the center of your circle. R is the radius of your circle. But notice that this here is r squared. So if you have 16 there, it means the radius of your circle is 4. Also, notice it's x minus h and y minus k. So if you had x minus 2 squared, your h is actually 2. I think of it, if I'm taking it out of those brackets, I have to change the sign. General form is the same for all 4 shapes. General form is the same for all 4 shapes, but the characteristics about them are different. So how they describe it in the textbook is that general form is ax squared plus by squared plus dx plus ey plus f is equal to 0. I know they skipped the letter C. I don't know why. If this general form is representing a circle, A and B will both be a 1. So general form could be something like 4x squared plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 6y minus 4 equals 0. But if it's a circle, it will just be x squared plus y squared, then like minus 2x plus 6y minus 4. The x squared and the y squared will both have a 1 in front of it if it's a circle. So if we're looking at example 1, this is out of section 3.3. If we're looking at example 1 on page 139, so that's page 139, they tell us that we have a circle that has a center of -3 and 5, and it has a radius of 6. And they want to know what would the equation be in standard form and in general form. All right, standard form is easy because it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So my center is h and k. So it would be x minus -3, which makes it x plus 3 squared, plus it would be y minus 5 squared is equal to r squared. Well, if my radius is 6, 6 squared is 36. And so that is my equation in standard form. There's nothing else to do there. If they want it in general form, which they do, all you have to do to get this in general form is to expand it out. But don't tell me that x plus 3 squared is x squared plus 9. It's not. You have to do FOIL. X plus 3 times x plus 3. So first outsides, insides, and lasts. So if I do FOIL with x plus 3 squared, I get x squared plus 6x plus 9. If I do FOIL with y minus 5 squared, that's y squared minus 10y plus 25. Now, general form is always equal to 0, so I'm going to bring that 36 over to the side and I'm going to subtract it. Then all I have to do is get everything combined and in order. It would go x squared plus y squared plus 6x minus 10y, and then I'll combine all my constants. 9 plus 25 is 34, and 34 take away 36 is minus 2 is equal to 0. So now I have it in general form. And notice that my x squared and my y squared both have a 1 in front of them. That's because it's a circle. And in general form, a circle will always have 1 in front of the x squared and the y squared. So that's example 1. Example number 2. They updated this little program. It used to have an erase all button. I don't see that anywhere anymore, so it's kind of annoying. So example 2, bottom of page 139, says write the equation of a circle with a center of 4 and -1. So remember, that's your h and your k. But they said passing through a point of 3 and 7. So what they mean is that point 3 and 7 would be on the edge of the circle. And so that's what I'm going to use to figure out my r squared. So if I want this in standard form, I know what my h and my k are. So I know I'm going to have x minus 4 squared. And I know I'm going to have y minus -1. So that's y plus 1 squared. But that's equal to r squared. And they didn't tell me what r was. That's why they give you this point. A point is x and y. And so if I know the formula is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals 1, I can fill in h, k, x, y, and all I'll be left with, or sorry, it's not 1, it's r squared. My apologies. If I know that that's the formula, I can fill in all my letters except for r squared. So if x is 3 minus h, which is 4, squared, plus y, which is 7, minus -1, so plus 1 squared, is r squared. So 3 take away 4 is 1 squared. 7 plus 1 is 8 squared is equal to r squared. So r squared would be 64 plus 1, which is 65. So now I know what to put in here. So up here I've got standard form. That's standard form. They also want it in general form. So general form is just a matter of expanding it out. X squared, wow, that's bad, minus 8x plus 16 plus y squared plus 2y plus 1 equals 65. Move everything over to one side and organize everything. You'd have x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 2y, and then I'd have 16 plus 1 minus 65, which gives me -48 is equal to 0. And there I have it in general form, okay? So far, hopefully, this is not too bad. So now we're going to move on, and I'm sorry about this. We're going to move on to example number 3 on page 140. There are 2 parts to it. One because they do an easy one first, and then they do one with a little bit more difficulty. So in this one, they want to know, instead of giving you the center and the radius and wanting you to come up with the equations, they give you an equation and they want you to tell them what is the center and what is the radius. So in example 3a on page 140, they give you x squared plus y squared plus 14x minus 72 equals 0. So the problem with this is they didn't give this to you in standard form. And standard form is what gives you like your h and your k and your radius. So this is a problem. So we need to change it from general form into standard form. To do that, we have to do something called completing the square. That phrase should ring a bell. We did it last year. So I'm going to do a refresher course on completing the square. So here's going to be the process. First, anything with x's, bring those together. So x squared plus 14x. I'm going to leave a space because I need room to complete the square. Then I have plus y squared. And I don't have any other y's, so that's kind of by itself. And I'm going to bring the constant over to the other side, 72. All right, so this is sort of the beginning of a trinomial. I need the end of that trinomial, and I need it to be a perfect square trinomial. To create a perfect square trinomial, you have to complete the square. Take whatever's in front of the x, divide it by 2, and square it. So if I take 14 and I divide it by 2, that's going to give me 7. And I square it, that's 49. So I'm going to add 49 and subtract 49. Remember, you have to do both. You can't just randomly add a 49. You have to subtract it as well so that it actually equals 0. So you did something but nothing. Remember me saying that last year? So now what that means is this part right here is a perfect square trinomial, and I can factor that. Since you know it's a perfect square trinomial, it's easy to factor. I take the square root of the x squared, which is x. I take the square root of the 49, which is 7. And if you think about it, 7 plus 7 makes 14, and 7 times 7 makes 49, so it works. Because there's a plus there, this would be x plus 7 squared. Now I'm going to take that 49 and I'm going to move it over here and add it. So I have plus y squared, and 72 plus 49 is 121. Now, this is in standard form now. My